Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast, My Hero Academia edition. Today, we are coming back reviewing the next 4 episodes of My Hero Academia, episodes 5, 6, 7, and 8. If you haven't listened to the first one, when we talk about 1, 2, 3, and 4 of season 6, make sure you listen to that. And we have the My Hero enthusiast with us, Miss Andrea Alanese. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Martin?
I'm doing better than the pro heroes and the
Oh,
students.
for fucking real.
I'll
Oh
tell you
my
that
God.
much. So,
Talk about the shoe dropping. It dropped. It wasn't a shoe, it was a fucking anvil, like Looney Tunes style, right
yeah,
on Wile E. Coyote. Like,
yeah. So I'm doing better than them, and I don't know if I'm happy about that or mad about that or
I
sad
mean,
about that. But I think I'm
all of
more
them.
dis. I think I'm more. Sound makes me sound like a parent. I think I'm more disappointed that
Oof.
in the current situation that they're in. But we'll talk right. We'll get into that. So last podcast we stopped at season 4 where Shigaraki was waking up.
Mm-hmm.
So we come right into episode 5, the thrill of destruction. And the biggest plot point of this is Shigaraki is officially awake now. Like awake, all of that. And as soon as he wakes up, things
Shit
literally go,
starts
it goes
going.
bad. It goes bad.
Yep. Yep.
I'm not the biggest fan of his. I know you're not the biggest fan
No.
of his, but he woke up and literally started killing everybody.
Oh, for sure. His hands were rated E for everybody. Like, oh my God. And I said it during the last podcast. As soon as was it President Mike was like, "Hey, you, like stay with Shigaraki." I was like, "Oh, you're
Mm.
dead. Like you're done." Like obviously we know that Shigaraki's going to wake up. Like we know he is. And as soon as he wakes up, bro's dead. Like
Yeah.
straight up. And then he's fumbling around just kind of like, "Eh, time to start killing shit," and just decays everything. And everybody's like flipping out like what the fuck is going on? People are trying to get off the ground. They're still trying to evacuate the city, which I know they couldn't have evacuated the city ahead of time because then that would tip off the doctor, that would tip off um oh my gosh, the Paranormal Liberation Front. But still, it was just like so slow moving for all the people, and the people, the close up of this of the dude that's just like, please make sure you don't destroy my house. Like, okay, relatable, sir, but like they're evacuating everybody because y'all's lives are in danger. Forget about the
Well,
fucking house.
I mean, I don't, obviously, he's no name character, but he's a normal guy. It's the same thing you put in like superhero world terms. We don't know what his insurance, he doesn't know what his insurance covers.
Right.
Like, he's thinking, obviously, he's going to survive. And he's like, just not my house because, it could be something he's worked for a million things, like a
Right.
normal person
Right.
problem.
But making the assumption that you are going to survive is a huge assumption.
Well, I mean,
But also just like something that made me like face palm so hard, talk about disappointment. Like truly, that is a really good word to sum up all like a lot of the decisions that are made, a lot of the things that happen that we'll talk about down the road. But just like when Midoriya, like, what did he do? Like, oh shoot. Did he do like an air smash towards the decay to trying to like
yes.
block it? And
Hmm.
then Todoroki puts up an ice wall, like that's gonna do anything. I'm just looking around, I was like, y'all are wasting time, just turn your ass and run. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So,
Like, this is futile, and especially Midoriya should have known that.
well, he did. Well, about the futile part, sometimes how shonen main characters get, they just do stuff to do stuff and
Mm-hmm.
think it'll work. But I mean, he knew Shigaraki because both of them. It's weird how I don't know if you want to. No, this isn't a spoil. Well, not for them. Like they're both now almost reincarnation, kind of,
Right.
because you have All for One like speaking inside of
Shigaraki,
Shigaraki, which I was
yeah.
starting to call him by his real name because I'm like, this dude's not Voldemort, man. And then like
Right.
Midoriya having like the little brother of All for One speaking inside, like,
Right. I wrote that down as like a like one of my questions was like, whoa, the voice of the first wielder is telling him, like, hey, he's awake, like shit's about to hit the fan. Like just out of nowhere. And Midori even comments, he's like, hey, the first wielders never like interfered or anything like that. So, or called out to him when he's like fully awake, which is weird because then it makes me feel like they're omnipresent in them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like to me it sets up kind of like a sort of like spiritual realm meeting between the two of them in the way that I'm trying to think like when Sasuke uses his Sharingan and he's like inside Naruto's like and sees Kurama like that. I feel like that's gonna happen, and all the previous wielders, or maybe just the first wielder, and All for One are gonna pop up, and they're gonna have a little whatever. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, because now we're at the point too where for us watching, like when All Might met Midori and all that stuff, like just from like a fan watching, like, oh, this is gonna be the main character,
Mm-hmm.
yada yada yada. But now we're getting to the point too where like if those two are controlling these two, we're into that now anime of like destiny type thing.
Right.
Like this is like you guys were destined
Didn't.
to
Yeah.
do this stuff. And I mean, you've to your credit have hinted at like small stuff, like of the two, like having like the same shoes or like
Right.
something like that, but not to the point where now we're having subconsciouses telling them what to do. And we'll even talk more about what this subconscious tells Shigaraki what to do in the next episode. But this
Mm-hmm.
one's just about him waking up, and we see.
Well, in this episode though, Shigaraki is, I mean, All for One is like calling to him and like talking to him about, and it's just repeating, get
Mhm.
one for all, or yeah, get one for all, like get one. And it's like a obsession, like it's almost like Shigaraki's on autopilot when he hears that. And then when we have the callback flashback to, I forget her name, but she's part of that little like rescue squad with the four cats.
Wasn't that
Was it
more in
Pixie
the?
Bob?
Wasn't that more in the second?
Was
Wasn't that
it?
more episode 6?
Oh, it was. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that was
Yeah, we're
more in
getting it
six.
met.
Because five
Yeah,
five was literally about him
just waking
waking
up
up
and
and all that stuff,
making
and then
everything crumble. Oh, the other thing that happened in episode 6 that I kind of wrote down was in episode 6 is where Tokuyami kind of breaks away from the plan to go save Hawks. He had a feeling that seeing Dobby's fire meant that Hawks was in trouble because he heard that Hawks was like in the vicinity. And so he
yeah,
like flies out of the fat taxi.
yeah. Because I wrote that down for my like yeah season 6 episode 5. Like my favorite moment was Hawks being saved, and I think we'll both agree on this episode, this fifth one, the MVP, and also unfortunately was the number 6 hero, Shield hero,
Mm-hmm.
Crust. He dies in this, and I wrote down, which I will go also to because I do have a lot of predictions that I had that were right. Like we almost
Mm-hmm.
had Eraserhead dying right here and now.
Right here, right now. One of those Nomus knew it was getting taken out by the decay, and he was like, "Nah, man, I'm taking you with me because you are too important."
Yeah.
Grabs
So
Aizawa's leg. Aizawa's like kinetic neck scarf wrap thing starts ripping, and we I was on the edge of my seat,
I was
like
on
not
already.
not like no way, and then just little shield comes, rips that Nomu's arm off just below the elbow, and then we see him like being decayed with a smile on his face and a thumbs up, and I was just like, oh,
And that's also the first time we've seen, well, first time fully on screen. We've seen a
mm-hmm.
top 10 hero die
Right.
because obviously the other one was number 3, Blue Genius. We saw him to currently to our knowledge, he's dead. To our like die when Hawks killed him to get into the League of Villains and all of that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. We saw that was all screen. This was on screen. This is a top 10 hero dead.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously
Yeah.
we've seen All Might retire, so that's another top
Mm-hmm.
hero. So it's like that was a shocker for me. Like, oh, like that's a top 10 hero who's gone now. And this is only episode 5 of season 6.
Right. Right. And I kind of like missed kind of the significance of I'm so wrapped up in like what's going on screen. I sometimes don't pay enough attention to the flashes of like who's number what and
Mm-hmm.
like what category hero or what specific like named hero they are. Like I remember his name was Crust, but I didn't quite remember that he was, like a shield hero. Also kind of funny with the whole popularity
Yeah.
of Rising of the Shield Hero. But anyway, yeah, no, that hit hard. But now that you mentioned that he was a top 10 hero, you're totally right. Like I didn't consider that and I didn't see that.
No.
But
So I
go
do
ahead.
also want to say that even though later on there will be some things where like we were right on some stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
there's also something on this episode that clear shut us down that we were completely wrong about. And it's kind of dickish. The cape is not his grandma's cape. It was the
I
first hero he
know.
killed
It
when he
was
woke
just
up.
like, oh, let me just kill this motherfucker right here. Oh, I'm
And
cold though. Let me save his cape. Put on
and
this red cape. It's
and I
like,
didn't like I was like, that's I felt like that was a cop out. But then we see later on, especially in the last episode of this current like
mm-hmm.
episode 8, I felt like that was messed up. Also, side note, did you see how they casually just put in that Midoriya can use 45%?
Yeah, yeah.
That was pretty casual. Like, oh, I can go 40. I'm like, when did we jump from 30 to 45?
Well, it needed to happen. I had
It
already said, like,
did.
that shit needed to happen. Also, for him to be like, okay, it's not in episode 5, guys. I will say it's further down, but he's using Black Whip all over the goddamn place. Like he's in a rodeo. Like, when did that happen?
Yeah, that is that was when he said 45. I was literally because I was like, I had to like look at some of the clips from the movie that came out. I was like, he wasn't even 45 in this movie. And I was like, when did we jump in all of season 5? I know training with it literally went from them to this war. I was like, when did we get from like 30 to 45? And then also like one of
And
these
how much time was it when Endeavor got the warning? Was it 3 months?
3 months.
So then, in theory, at least if the movie took place halfway through that
Mm-hmm.
internship, then it would give him a month and a half to jump basically 15%. That's bullshit. Like, there's no way.
And then also the biggest thing like I had from this too was Shigaraki waking up little fucking ex machina Megazord Gigantua, and now he's awake. And I think my biggest disappointment is that in one episode, their whole surprise attack, like all of
Was for
Hawks'
like
effort,
nothing. Like it
is
was it
just
was done.
gone.
It was a wrap. It was like that was cute. Like watching it because like I remember being there like, yeah, all right, like they have all these countermeasures. We're fucking good. But as Sukuichi was like, oh yeah, he's Gigantomachia isn't gonna wake up because he only responds to his master, and he's currently locked. I'm like, you guys are stupid. Why would you still not have some sort of plan, some sort of plan Z, even if you really think it's such a minuscule chance that he'll wake up or do anything? Why would you still not plan for it? That is bullshit.
Yeah, there it's crazy. Yeah, and all one episode, all of it gone. And did you have anything else for this episode before we go
Yes,
to go
yes,
ahead?
yes. And I think it's very important. Shigaraki pulls out cork erasing bullets.
Good point. I actually had that written down. So I mean, it goes to something. It
This
goes to something
motherfucker,
I've said a
okay,
long time. But I mean, hey,
he's been sitting on these fucking bullets since he took the bullets and Overhaul's arms. And of course, this was foreshadowing in a couple episodes that we will talk about. But like, for him to be like, oh, why are you taking away, like, inventing something to take away quirks when you're so reliant on yours? And this mother,
I think it's. I mean, it's preparation. Like he did. Some of them actually did get destroyed though.
oh,
Like
right,
that
right, right,
stuff, and he's
right.
like, oh, overall, would be mad. But I was just sitting back and I was like, look, man, I've been talking about these things since last year of February, and so you're telling me the villains have them and they're more prepared than you guys. So let's just say Hawks wasn't James Bonding that place before we go to
Mm-hmm,
the second episode of this four set. If he wasn't James Bonding the place, they were going to get attacked by
mm-hmm,
a 100% Shigaraki,
mm-hmm,
Ex Machina Giganta,
mm-hmm.
10,000 people,
If not more, if they
if not
didn't end up
more,
recruiting more.
and they have cork sealing bullets.
Yep.
Oh, and the Nomus,
Oh my fucking god,
which
that's
we'll get to
right.
the
The
later
dot.
end too in a couple episodes where they actually
Ooh.
increase. So you had all of this. Hell, who knows? Maybe last resort they had a freaking baby whatchamacallit bomb in the back end too, just in case. Like, so they had all this stuff, and the heroes beside it didn't have anything.
They have the power of friendship.
Well, I don't. Well, none of to their.
That's basically all they got in the tank right now. Fucking, oh my god! I can't wait to get to like episode power. 8. I'm sorry. That's all I gotta say. I can't wait till we get there.
When you actually have power, power of friendship is different. But right now, it's not like no. So then, because good calling that because I was gonna completely forget, and I have that in bold. I know,
me too. Notes. I was about ready, and then I looked down at my card. I was like, no, we got to talk about these. We got to talk about these.
So then you go into season 6, episode 6, called Encounter Part 2. And this is one of the first time I start calling him by his real name, Tenko Shigaraki. Mm-hmm. You have him versus big thing. You have him versus Endeavor. Mm-hmm. Like going right at even he's like, man, what the hell? I just woke up and the number one hero's on my ass. And like,
right.
And your guy.
It's also like at the same time, it's like, why would you not expect the number one hero to be on your ass? Well, that's right, because he's not aware of the counterattack, Doug. He's just basically waking up from a nap and he just decided to obliterate a fucking city.
So they're
not even knowing what's going on.
So they're fighting, and then they're fighting, and then he's talking about finding something for One for All, and then Endeavor's the green-haired fire, like his assistant.
Oh, person. Yeah. Is it Lady Burnin or something like that?
Yeah, she's like One for All, and then obviously Midori hears that. Mm-hmm. So then he starts running. He's like, they're after me. Then Bakugo.
He's like, he's after me. I need to get away from everybody. Because he's still in the midst of helping to evacuate. So with Shigaraki's like kind of saying, One for all. And Endeavor's like, what the fuck is that? Midoriya knows what it means. Midoriya knows what Shigaraki's motivation is for, his quirk. And Bakugo does as well.
Yeah.
So since they're both right there with the civilians, Bakugo knows what Midoriya is going to do. We know what Midoriya is going to do. He takes off and goes away from everybody else.
And they're going straight to the fight. It's basically the let's go, the protagonist and the rival going into the main fight. And when that happened and people were saying that, I literally wrote down that I said in the prediction and I was like, I'm going to be right. He's going to leave. Like the secret is going to come out now and that's going to be the reason he leaves. And this was from 6 to 8, this was the true start of like, oh, I'm going to be right. He's going to leave. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Because the secret now, whenever they end this, they're going to ask him, they're going to be like, so what's One for All? Like, why is he after you? And also, this kind of is bullshit too, that Shigaraki took that quirk from like that foursome from from season 3, like the cats and all that.
Yeah. That when I talked about, I think her name was Pixie Bob. It was, I don't know why I feel like that's right. But yeah, it took her quirk and she had such a fucking cool quirk. Like, what was that?
That's bad. That was a really, like, it's bad that he has it because it's like, now she can search people by he can search people by their quirk. So in my
head, as long as he's laid eyes on them before, like that. And the likelihood of her having just laid eyes on Midoriya before she gets her quirk stolen. Like.
So I wrote, that's really, so again, that went to my original thing when we did the preview. I'm like, now I know he's gone. I know he's gone. But then I don't know how
he stays out of sight. Well, it seems like there's a time limit. I think that there was a kind of brief comment made by Shigaraki, kind of like that he can like see the quirks of people or locate the quirks of people, like whatever the verbiage is, for a certain amount of time. So like I don't think he can clock Midoriya forever.
But this guy who just woke up, imagine when he's like fully conscious, masters it, and like we'll see how far that expands. Especially
that was the other thing too. That was the other bullshit. Like, I'm sorry, like I get that basically Shigaraki at this point is a perfect Nomu. But it's bullshit that even Shigaraki was kind of surprised that he can use all of these quirks like he's always had them.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and it's gonna get even better if they don't, like we said in the last time, if they don't kill the scientists.
Right. I don't know why the fuck they leave him around and he's just like President Mike is just like dragging him along. I'm like, leave him. You should have left him to fucking die in the decay. Like, just fucking leave him. Like,
so things I wrote on this one too. Bakugo's resolve, like you have that, like the scenes where almost like he's like, oh, I can keep up with Midoriya while he's which is kind of utterly crazy.
Mm-hmm.
that he can, like, his normal abilities he can keep up, and he's like, all right, we're about to go fight.
Let's
Let's go
go.
do it. And then your guy again, Aizawa Eraserhead, he's keeping um he's keeping Decay in check because he has his eyes, which I know
Mm-hmm.
we talked about last time. I was like, before we saw what happened to Shield Hero Crust, that they're gonna come for him. Like we've like talked about, is like
They
All for
have
One is
to.
gonna not, I don't think kill him, but they're gonna take his eyes, because if All for One and Shigaraki can get Eraserhead's quirk, they are literally invincible. And I know we talked about it last time. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I know you're not a fan. That's when you're pushing like bomb kind of close.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like maybe a baby bomb. Not that you're blowing up the city, but like you got to shoot a rocket at them, like a quirk.
But that's the other thing, though, is like, okay, again, this is getting a little bit ahead, but Shigaraki at this point is so physically strong that even stripping him of his quirks with Aizawa looking at him, he's still basically, they keep saying, basically on All Might level physically, that he's able to like push air currents with his muscles and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's also bullshit in the amount of time that happened, number one. Number two, I'm just like, like Endeavor, why do you keep doing these all powered blasts in one direction? Like you're gonna get him. He's faster than you. This is basically you fighting All Might, like just strength wise, and you could never beat him. Like what? Ooh, like I know he can't really call back up in this situation, like because of the. This is the episode that the Nomus pop out of the ground, reminding me of the Huns from Mulan after the avalanche. Just like,
Well, you also learn that Shigaraki there, because they asked, how are these Nomus still alive? And
he's like,
you
oh,
learn
I
that
can control decay
it.
now. And it's like,
Yep.
oh, so you actually, willingly chose to kill every single person.
But the Nomus, the
Your shit touched.
high ends. You also go, which I kind of wrote down, like, oh, Shigaraki's like, Eraserhead, you're actually pretty cool. And then he just blitzed them. And before he gets blitzed, when Midori and Bakugo were going, Gran Torino comes, takes
Mm-hmm.
those two out.
Gran Torino literally saved their fucking asses. The both of
He
them
did.
had the Orochimaru moment, like Sakura, Sasuke, Orochimaru moment, where they like could see themselves die in the instant right before they would.
Yeah.
And Gran Torino yeeted both of their asses out of there. The whole series would have been over without Gran Torino. So I put Gran Torino down as one of the MVPs for this episode because he also, oh my god,
I don't
just
even think I had one for this. Well, now you can make the case. Well, when we get 2 episodes ahead, that Gran Torino and Grandmommy is the reason
oh my
shit's even
god.
started. But that's in episode 8. We're still
Oh,
on.
we're gonna get there, and I cannot wait.
We're still on 6, but I think that was one of those things too, where Gran Torino, he's like, "Well, I'm assuming Bakugo knows the secret," and then he's like, "All right, so someone else knows." So then, like, they're going at it. But then, like, when Shigaraki blitzed and almost got Eraserhead, which I do in this, because obviously memes go out about like, imagine being born in the My Hero world and you have some stupid like little quirk and all that stuff. You want to talk about a dude who should be MVP for the next 3 too? Water Boy.
I know. I literally have him down because Aizawa's thing is like, his eyes get dry. We all have to blink.
Mm-hmm.
And then here we have Manuel, who we know from when Ida decided to go like low key evil. Just pop up and just like, here you go. Here's some water for your eyeballs. Like, so and Aizawa was like, thank you so much. And he's like, don't thank me yet. If I put too much, then you're gonna end up like getting really irritated or whatever. I'm just like, oh, you're so cute. You're probably gonna die.
Yeah, and you get to the point too where you think he's actually going to die. You get to and I'm like, oh my god, here I go again. As I was gonna die, like I said, and that's gonna make him snap. And then Aizawa has, which now you truly see who his 2 favorite students are.
Right.
Because
no,
at that
for sure.
point,
the ones that of course, it's always okay. Even in real life, I swear to God, this is a thing for a lot of teachers. The kids that give them the most problems are low key their favorites. Like it always fucking happens. Like they're not necessarily like teachers' pet level, but the teachers definitely always have a soft spot for them and like enjoy their growth in a way that's just more meaningful or personal to them.
Yeah, and like we saw him talk about them in season 3. Obviously, like he talked about it, like out of all the people in that class, Shoto, Momo, all of them, he's like, there are two needle movers in his class who
Right.
move the needle to make everyone better, and it's those two. And then like him thinking about those two because he doesn't know those two are even around. Like it's just his instant thing, like, oh shit,
Right.
this
Right.
really might be it for me. And like
But
I'm
here's the other thing is okay, so I just rewatched that scene and he's basically like, bitch, you think I'm gonna die here? And I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm like, Aizawa, what you gonna do? Like what? Like you are on one leg, can barely move. You couldn't even hide yourself properly, like to start using your quirk, because I mean you needed to do it immediately, which is fair. But like when Shigaraki's coming straight at him and he's like, nah, I ain't going down here. My students still need me. I want to see them become the heroes that they're gonna be. And it's just like, yes, teacher's speech. So great, so cool. Probably means you're gonna die. But like
yeah, it's not. It's
oh my
looking
god.
bad, but he gets saved by Midoriya. So I was like, okay, I'm getting closer and closer. Like Midoriya even says, like, what's even worse is seeing your teacher get killed. Like
Right.
that's pretty
But
much what he
Midoriya doesn't
said.
come to save his ass until episode 7.
That is true.
Yeah, that's episode 7.
He
But
headbutts Sugar. Yeah, hits him with the main character headbutt.
yep,
Pretty much.
like Tanjiro. It's fine.
Yeah. But I did write that this is bad, like in this episode, because like the Nomus and all this
No,
stuff.
no, no. In this episode, in episode 6, it's Gran Torino that saves Aizawa first. Because this is when Gran Torino first shows up.
Got you.
And kind of pops Shigaraki in the side of the head.
Wait, are you sure it's not in this one? Because episode 7's all about, because they're already fighting. Episode 7's Midnight's last stand.
Right. So in my notes, my MVP for episode 6 is I have the Gran Torino saved.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're right. Gran Torino saved Midoriya and Bakugo. That's I just, and then I also had Slash, Aizawa, and Manual combo as my MVPs. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah, because they do save him and they start fighting. Because episode 7, their little fight continues, but episode 7's all about Midnight.
Yeah.
But then I was saying, like, this is with the one where they're like, why are there so Nomus and all that stuff? And I was like, I wrote down, I was like, this is bad. Like, this is just
this is
really bad.
Straight terrible. This is literally worst case scenario, except technically speaking, it's fucking not, because Shigaraki woke up early.
Yeah, he's only like, at 75.
Like that, I cannot wrap my brain around that, because like, didn't they say he was at like, was it
75?
Thank you. I knew it wasn't quite 80, but it was close.
Yeah.
It's like he could have probably decayed the entire fucking planet at 100%. Like what?
70, 75. Fuck. And then I also wrote down just something else. I was like, yeah, now that he almost saw his teacher get smoked, it's confirmed Deku was leaving. Like it's he's got to go. Then you go to 7, which
okay, hold up. Just one more thing on episode 6. Toga fucking popped off.
She's motivated.
She, after Twice's death, like Compress even said like that he tried to like prevent her from running down there. And after he says that, we just see a bunch of like heroes running together, and somebody finally notices like, hey, didn't you say you were gonna go after Toga and Mr. Compress? And then just a knife comes out and slashing throats. Yeah. 5 heroes down at once. We see her take out, I think, 2 or 3 more before like her disguise comes off. And I'm just like, fuck. Like,
yeah, she's motivated, and that's something I wrote down too. Like currently, from her, and then you'll see we'll talk later. Like they're extremely motivated. But yeah, episode 6 it just ends on that. Then you go to 7. I'm sorry, and that one is called literally Disaster Walking. And honestly, they should have changed I understand why it's called Disaster Walking, but it's Midnight's last stand, because unfortunately
it's okay. So like to be fair, it's not confirmed that she's actually like perishing in this episode or the next episode. It's just heavily alluded to that she's not coming back.
Oh no,
and I very much believe that that's true. But I do think it's wrong that she didn't get that sort of like name recognition in the episode. But at the same time, I was so disappointed at what happened.
No, literally, she is gone. I'm telling you right now. Rest in peace.
Yes, put respect on her name. She's a great, great teacher. And I think a lot of people kind of like didn't really consider that because of her kind of overly sexualized persona and her, I mean, she leans into it.
I don't even think it's with that. It's just that she didn't get screen time like that. I
Well,
mean, this
honestly, none of the teachers other than Aizawa have gotten screen time like that. She would be the next.
I don't even know. I think President Mike got more. Just think about it like this: going back.
President Mike got more, but not with direct contact with the students. Technically, she got a little more direct contact with the students only because she was involved in Minetta's was it internship, his first?
Yeah, when he like was doing that stuff. But I was just
Yeah.
gonna say it's not. Yeah, I don't think the appearance has anything to do with it. It's just the fact that like just going to another comparison, like look at the Academy, Leaf Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Kakashi's the only teacher who got most of the stuff. Like Asuma only got something when he died. Kurenai, Kurenai only got shown again after
Well, when
Asuma.
she made the most stupid decision in the entire fucking show, using a genjutsu on fucking Itachi.
Yeah, and she never bounced
Like,
back from that. But then after that, like she was never seen in fights and all that stuff. And then after Asuma died, she was done. Obviously,
mm-hmm.
Guy, like that's why I say like President Mike, because President Mike's kind of like their guy. But
That's
it's like,
true. Yeah.
but like he's been shown. They had a whole freaking. They have their own mini arc in this damn show.
They do, but I just meant more so in direct contact with the students because
Yeah,
President Mike, we see him a lot, but he's always obviously commentating or with a racer. Not necessarily we see him like in the classroom teaching. I remember specifically seeing a short scene of I think it's a what's his name? Is it ectoplasm
mm-hmm.
plasm or like I think he teaches math or something. We saw a quick scene of him like
Yeah.
doing that.
But no, I don't. Yeah, but to the thing, I don't think her appearance has any because obviously you can be super attractive like that, like a la Sudade. And if your
Oh yeah,
person
no, no,
gives you,
no.
if
And
they
then
give you the time, it's
so
just
for
the author
me,
didn't give them the time.
I wasn't necessarily saying that based on how she looks. I
Mm-hmm.
meant more so in the way that she, like the joking, the verbiage, the like the innuendos that she puts out there as part of her like hero persona, which is totally fine. It's just a lot of times people equate sexy or sexually active or kinky or whatever with not being maternal or being um much of a role model.
Yeah, and they made you really think about that the whole because obviously, like after the first two episodes, I'm like, she's dead. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
promoting her way, and like even Eraser, I was like, oh, he's gonna be gone. And hell, there's
Yep.
another person who I like. Midnight's dead. When we get to episode 8, the other person who I think he's dead, and then the other person who I think again Eraser is going to die because of what happens to him. But you want to talk about the innuendos and all that stuff because we talked about her in the preview. Mount Lady sucks. She
I
sucks.
okay, like I just okay, this is probably really terrible to say, but I wonder if like she's kind of just suffering because I mean her quirk is gigantification. I just feel like she just, in a lot of things where, people with actual like gigantism, you get so big, it's like you're not fully it's difficult like
This was the literally the only battle we talked about that this is the one. This
for her, yeah.
we knew before it, didn't see the minor, and we just knew like this dude is big. Who else do we have who can go big? Mount Lake. This is her moment. And she was terrible. The only notice that she got from this is the freaking meme of her coming down on Fat Gum and Fat Gum saying it's a bottom.
Yeah, it's a
Flying.
bottom. No, and my other okay, I think it also like just goes to her character, and I think it's more episode. Yeah, it's between episode 7 and 8 when
Mhm.
she's basically like again, it's not even a stand up fight. She's just trying to drag him down, and I mean, I thought it was hilarious that she could like keep her wits about her and fucking crack a one liner being dragged by this gigantic thing that she's trying to slow down and trying to stop, but like we already know
Nah.
at this point she can't. But she says, I haven't clung to a man like this since middle school.
That
Like
was funny, but then it's
that
like, but then I'm
was
sitting there, I was
hilarious.
like, oh man, but time and place for everything, girl. Like some of these students are gonna die, and we're over here talking
Also,
about
we
like
also don't know if there's anybody underneath them in this forest. So technically speaking, she could be accidentally killing anybody that survived his
sheesh.
footsteps because she's basically chest down on the ground being dragged behind him.
She sucks. She's terrible. But I also will say too that ice dude's a problem still. Like they need to take him out.
Oh, well, Cementos finally got him.
Yeah, he finally got him, but he was a problem.
He was a menace. I think part of Iceman's problem is that he was so into the military structure
Mm-hmm.
that when, I mean, because he basically made the perfect comment. He's like, what's going on? This is complete chaos. Because he was a lieutenant and Dobby is his like co-lieutenant for the same portion of the quote unquote army.
Mm-hmm.
The League of Villains is not a militant. They're not taking orders from anybody. They don't want to give fucking orders to anybody. They really don't. They don't give two shits. They want chaos. So like when he's like, this is chaos, I'm like, bro, what did you really expect Dobby to pull up with you and give orders, command the troops, hold down the fort, reorganize? No. No.
Before we continue at midnight, I just got to do real quick because I actually want to focus this most on her, but like super, super quick. So the fight's continuing with Midoriya, Bakugo, Endeavor, Eraser, all of them against Shigaraki. Mm-hmm. You also see the thing like at the command center where they're like, what's going on, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. But you also see quick snippets of how far this is from where the people live. Because like you see the Todoroki family, like dudes in class, like the mom's in the hospital. Bakugo's mom's just chilling. Midoriya's mom's like getting grocery store. They don't know, right? And then they don't know they're fighting. Their sons are literally fighting not for their lives, but the sake of the whole damn country right now. They have no post. And then finally, something that got answered that I said last week in the 7th episode, you finally get your first glimpse at All Might. And you finally see what he is doing.
Chilling next to Eri, watching the news on the laptop. I'm like, why is All Might not in the command center? What the fuck is that?
So you finally see where the greatest hero of all time, and who I say I say power-wise is the most powerful person, like quirk-wise with Eri.
If she could control her quirk, they could literally pop her ass out there, and she could rewind Shigaraki to non-existence.
You know it's going to be dangerous if this ever happens, if Shigaraki ever lays eyes on Eri.
Oh, fuck.
You think going after Eraserhead's bad? Wait till he starts going after Eri's quirk. Because we talked about the books. I don't think they never told, because that Overhaul Evil was still my guy. They never told him how the quirk was made. They never told him it came from this girl.
Right, that's true.
So, like, if they ever found out, like, oh, there's a way to make these quirks, there's only one girl on the whole planet, and it's this person. Mm-hmm. Or, like, what if your favorite movie, what if he just goes the 9 route and tries to go get that boy? Because that is canon within the thing. Like, you're looking at these kids who have Omega-level quirks that if Shigaraki gets a hold of Eri and that one, Kota, I think was his name, I think it's over.
No, Kota's
the water boy.
Water, yeah.
The other, no offense, well, technically he could help with Eraserhead's eyes too, so can't say he's useless. But the other boy from the second movie who would have made 9 invincible.
Yeah, I can't
obviously he's on All for One's radar because 9 was like that's bad, man. Like just thinking about those little kids, like
I didn't even go there. But that was wild to me, seeing the cutscenes of like people just chilling, going about their ordinary day. And then, because it's true, because technically speaking, not necessarily on like a national crisis scale, but there's a earth-shattering or world-shattering situation that goes on for somebody or multiple people on the daily, by the second, all of the time, and the rest of the world just keeps moving. Like, has no idea what's going on. On a massive scale, like, we do currently obviously have wars going on in the world, but that's not something a lot of us might be actively aware of or tuned into, or we'll see the newsreels or the big headlines, but then we keep it moving, like that was something that kind of hit me, real world application and parallels.
That's a good point, because again, we don't know how far this place is from the other stuff. I would just think that it's also to save face. I get it. From a governmental thing, you want to say everything's fine, everything's not. I would still think they would put like a state of emergency, like in states every Wednesday, especially like in the state of Ohio, every Wednesday, the whole state can hear like the tornado siren thing just for like
Right.
precaution. Wouldn't you play something like, "Yo, there's something big going on. Do not drive your car to X city," or like
Hmm.
block? Like that's what I'm saying, like blocking, like saying something like that. Because when I saw those people's moms, I'm like, and I'm like, well, who? Or one of you gonna die? Like, or when are you gonna?
Okay, on that note, I will say, like, it makes me very suspicious, fucking very suspicious, that Bakugo's mom is literally chilling reading a memory book. Like, basically, like, Bakugo's, like, baby pictures are probably, like,
Um,
growing up. Like, that is not a good sign to me. That is not a fucking good sign to me. I don't like.
my main thing was seeing Midoriya's mom. I think Midoriya's mom's gonna die.
I had that thought too.
They have to. I don't. I don't want to say they have to kill her. I really don't. But from God, this is gonna show my brain. From a strategical evil villain stuff, if when Midoriya leaves this place because he's gonna be leaving,
Mm-hmm.
he will come back if Shigaraki kidnaps his mom.
Right.
So something I feel like that's something. Maybe one of the she's gonna see like her baby fighting, and she's gonna try and run there and get in some collateral stuff. Is
Right.
that going to happen? Or you're going to see one of the saddest episodes in the winter time, late winter, of him saying goodbye to his mom before he
Mm-hmm.
leaves. Because one of
Right.
those things are happening. Because like if Shigaraki, I'm like, I'll just go kidnap his mom. I know he's coming to me if I take his mom.
Right.
So I'm like,
But
that
my
scrapbook thing,
my
that's
thought
a good one.
process after that, it regarding like disregarding the whole kidnap scheme,
Mm-hmm.
for me, obviously, it's fourth wall breaking, being like, okay, he's the protagonist, I'm the antagonist. If I take his mom or I kill his mom, he's basically gonna get a power up. So like the way I would think about it is like, nah, you leave that bitch alone. Like
But Shigaraki, I guess in like is Shigaraki worried about any power ups right now? Again, the doctor's alive. The doctor only needs some time to put him 25%, and then it's an extra 25. But also, just a
but
quick
what
thing, he's gonna get it.
25% on top of infinity, like this man is fucking unstoppable at this point.
Yeah, it's actually kind of bullshit how a dude who really didn't have shit just lucked into this,
No, no, no,
literally.
no. He carried a baggage of emotional trauma big enough for all for one to be like, yeah, that one.
Lucked
That one
in.
right there. Yeah.
Well, yeah, even that stuff, you didn't have to give him all these powers. Like that's nonsense. That he's just getting all this stuff. And this real quick thing before we go back to
Hmm.
Midnight and them. We saw All Might. We also see All for One just chilling in the jail, smiling. He already
Yeah.
knows what's happening right
Of course he
now,
does.
and that's crazy. So then now go back to the most important part of this stuff, like Midnight, and like her saying like we got to put this thing to sleep, and I'm like, oh, good luck. And she didn't see like the league was riding on the dude's back because the dude's like, what did Momo say in the next episode? Like 28 feet tall or something
He's
crazy.
no, no, no. It's not 28 feet. He's 25 meters tall.
25 meters tall.
Yeah. So
So
like this man is like skyscraper big. Like he's huge. And he's also, it's not like he's a normal like physical human. He's got like these weird like boulder like scales all over the place.
mm-hmm.
And so that's when Dobby's like, you motherfuckers shut up. They don't know we're up here. Don't say shit. Stay hidden. That's the only strategic thing I have heard come out of Dobby's
Obviously.
mouth. Like,
The bad thing
bitch,
is,
shut up so we can
I
have
think
our
he's the
own
most
counter support.
strategic
Like,
one.
huh?
I think he's the most strategic person in the whole series. He holds
Well,
all the cards. He knows. Dude
I
said
know.
Hawks'
I fucking know.
name.
We're getting so close. Okay, so my friend, my roommate reads the manga, and so like I kind of like it's not a spoiler because I already know it's coming, but like the bomb that the info bomb that he's going to drop,
Mhm.
it seems like if it stays on pace with the manga, is going to happen soon. And that to me is wild because I didn't think it would happen so quickly. I mean, it remains to be seen for sure. But
Well, when
like,
you do an episode, you can get like 2 to 3 chapters in an episode, like cutting out some fluff and all that.
right, right. But still, oh my God. And then, okay, for me, going back to the whole like Midnight and Kamui Woods are flying through the air towards Gigantomachia. Here's my other thing. Why are people flying in the air when they don't have anybody to potentially catch them, change direction? They're just blindly flying towards this giant thing that is moving extremely fast.
No, it's
extremely
funny.
fast. So of course, when you get blasted or hit with anything, you're dead in the water. I can't think of the right phrase right now, but you're just stuck. And that's what happened to the both of them. Because the first shot, Dobby came out of nowhere, smoked. Ooh, that's not a good choice of words, but smoked Kamui Woods. And then Midnight's still flying through. It's like, nah, okay, I can do this. I'm gonna put this motherfucker to sleep with my quirk. And then Mr. Compress is like, nah, bitch, here, have some rubble.
She's
smashed like a bug.
She's done. And then you see her on the ground, fully bloodied up. Like,
I mean, her arm, rewatching it back, her one arm is fully twisted around.
Yeah, and also like the scene where she's getting up before her chests are like super separated. Like the scene where she's like getting up like that, and then she calls your girl Momo, which at this part I got this one wrong. I did think I knew Midnight's gonna die. I know she's gonna die. But like I thought Shigaraki was gonna kill Midnight in front of Midoriya, and that was gonna make him snap. Obviously Midoriya snapped, but not because of this. So I was wrong. I was wrong on who's getting and who's getting the Midnight death motivation.
Yeah.
I didn't foresee Momo. So I wrote down, obviously we've seen episode 8, but like this is when I'm watching and taking notes of episode 7. And I literally wrote, potentially right now, this had the making for Momo's greatest moment. And I wrote like, this is it. Like every anime character gets to a point where it's like, if you fumble this moment, your character arc it's over.
It's done.
And well, just a slight thing into 8. I don't think there's someone else who fumbled and they are done.
Don't even get me started. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that yet because I will rant about that for 10 straight minutes. Oh my God.
But
anyway.
On this, I did like when Momo was sitting there, she was like, wait, is she dead? Like, what am I doing? Like, she was like literally contemplating, like, and Midnight said that she can be a leader. Like, and you've said before we even recorded that, like, you could see Momo being like when they become, well, shit. If they make it to being
adulthood, if they
she could be adulthood, she could be the next
I think
Midnight.
she could be the next Midnight at UA. I could definitely see her in a teacher role. I can definitely see it. Unfortunately, there is also that like physical parallel that you get to keep a like sexy teacher on the payroll, but whatever, we're gonna disregard that. Like that's not a big deal. But my biggest thing when all of this was going down, of course, recognizing like Momo, this is it. Like this is fucking it. But the other thing is like, what the fuck is Midnight talking about that it's illegal? What's illegal? Is putting a villain to sleep illegal?
Trigger bombs are illegal, but they don't have those. So.
Okay, so like it just took me a while to figure out like what the fuck is illegal? Because then even Endeavor at one point is like, Shigaraki, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like so. Okay.
Oh, we're past the Hawks. Hawks already he broke that fourth wall. He killed twice, and it's truly like there's no either you're getting cuffed or you're getting killed. Like. I mean, that's literally
it's the C or the K, bitch. Pick one.
Like Hawks.
I'm swearing too much in this episode. I'm so sorry.
When he killed twice, that's when I talked about it on our thing last time. I was like, wow, we're at this point now. But I understand that. I don't know if that was mistranslation because I was thinking too. I was like, illegal. Like, are you saying like full force? But it's also one of these things too with Momo where we've talked about almost every episode about this woman, like anytime she's brought up, even when we talked about like what jobs they would have if they weren't heroes. And I said Momo is like quote unquote, and there's no such thing, but like literally quote unquote a perfect woman. Is just the thing that she lacks is confidence. Like everyone has seen that this girl has the potential to be like a leader. She's not going to be like the needle mover like Midoriya and Bakugo and all that, but she can
Right.
like rally people. Eraser has said this since part one. Shoto has said this. Midnight saying
Mhm.
this on her fucking deathbed. So when Eraser is about to die, he's thinking about Midoriya and Bakugo. Midnight's about to die, and she's like, I'm gonna pass this on to Momo, and I know
Mhm.
she's gonna do it. So you're the first person I thought of when I saw. I was like, this is it, man. Like if she fails this, then you might as well just not have her be prominent in the rest of the show.
Right. If she
But
doesn't die.
and then you see the villains coming after Midnight when she's bloodied. I'm like, oh, she's
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
Which I like you
I
said
do
too.
I do wonder if she's able to at least incapacitate a few of those villains that are coming after her, only because of her quirk, from the way I understand it, is
Oh,
like,
she's taking some of them with her. She's
yeah,
taking some. She's gonna, but then she's just gonna be out of thing, and no one's gonna be able to heal her. I think she just bleeds out.
probably.
So
Probably.
yeah, but that one, that's literally, I mean, MVP. That's easy. Midnight. It is like Midnight's last stand. That's what the episode.
Should have been called.
But I also, what's kind of crazy too. I it's kind of a thing with like they're not like Madara, like the first Okage, but like Madara, like when they were fighting Naruto, had like his eternal eyes.
Mhm.
Susanoo on top of the fox, and first Okage just comes out, just a whole bunch of that and beats him. I need to know how All Might was whooping All for One's ass with this gigantua bodyguard. I need to
Right.
know.
Like, why was this dude not okay? But also, like,
But this is
we're
also
gonna circle back to
prime.
that in the next episode.
This is
We're gonna
also
circle back
prime
to
All
this. I
Might.
have a point to make about it. We're gonna circle back. But like, truly, like, where was he during all of this? Like, when All Might was beating his, like, what? Like,
Well, he could have. Remember, we didn't see the first fight when All Might was at full power,
that's
where he
true.
crumbled his face, and maybe he's the one who like messed up.
His
Like,
insides,
yeah,
maybe.
because we didn't see that fight. We've never, besides like a
We
glimpse
never
of
even
the
got like
first.
a flashback of it. We just see the aftermath, the
No.
flashbacks of him in the hospital, of him, like, lifting the shirt to show that he,
Mm-hmm.
like, is missing like one of his lungs. Like,
We've
yeah,
never seen All Might, and that's something that's gonna suck. We have never seen All Might at 100%,
no,
but his 100% was able to beat All for One with all of this stuff. But Momo, like I do like seeing her like think like, what should I do? What's this, that? And then she
and then she
said,
made that decision, and she's
yeah.
like, this
I
is what
said,
we're doing. Give a mini motivational speech. Let's go class 1A and B. Because basically at this point, most of it's, I mean, it's a mix of both. I can't say most of each class, but like, it's a good portion. That their whole back line, it's all UA students. There's not a single pro hero in there.
unfortunately, in episode 8, I wrote down that, and this wasn't to disrespect them, but I quote unquote put like the rejects versus the League of Villains. So it's
I
basically,
mean, yeah, because it is like UA versus the League of Villains. Like, I know it's not called part two, but technically this is the second time that the UA students are facing the League of Villains.
and it's
But
all the UA. The reason I call them rejects is because all of the UA students who aren't major players,
right.
like Midoriya is not there, Bakugo's not there, Uraraka's not, which Uraraka's not there, Shoto Todoroki's not there, obviously Tokoyame is not there, Froppy
Sue
is
isn't
not
there.
there.
Actually, Tokoyami would have been
He
there
would have
if
been
he
there, but
stayed in the fat taxi.
well, he's not a reject anymore because
Right.
now he has a relationship with the number 2 hero. But then you go into like you give that speech, and at the end of 7, I'm like, all right,
All right. Like,
this
let's
is it.
go.
Like
Let's
I'm hard
go.
on this woman because like I know like the potential like she has, and she literally has like everything, but she's always messing it up. But then again, like it's the fact that everyone else knows she can do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
to see everyone, especially Kendo,
Yeah,
who is a
not even bat
rival,
an eye, not even be like,
just like
no,
okay.
Miss Midnight, let me do it. Like, not,
Even
no,
when
no, no, no.
Kendo beat Momo in the last season, she was like, Momo has so much potential. It's just, as people say, it's just a mental roadblock. That's it.
Yeah.
But we get into it, and they devise a plan. Like
She
Momo is
does.
there showing like her genius level intellect and like
Mm-hmm.
all of that, and I'm like super hyped, and like they use everyone's abilities and all
They
of that. And
do, but I don't see. Here's the thing: is I know they did use Mushroom Girl's quirk because she's like, this is a little further ahead, but Dobby puts out, the fire, and she makes a comment that the shrooms are burning. So I'm just like, bitch, where was that choke out mushroom when we needed it? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about that too. I was like, why don't we just shoot some of these in his mouth? But that's not the way they did it. But everyone's stuff is being used. I even joked, even though I had to quit because I always had to write a quick thing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously your worst favorite character, Mineta, was very important because his
Oh, for
things.
sure. I knew he would be because I mean,
He was
I hate the
featured. He's
fact that
like
it's
his
his
Midnight
balls. Like it
Dead.
is. It's
Yeah.
his, his little like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just very important. And it was okay, very touching for me to see early on in the episode that he's like, I hope Miss Midnight's okay. Like, do you think she's
Do you
alive?
think she's dead? Yeah.
Yeah, do you think she's dead? Yeah. It was just like, oh, so you
And
do
me,
care.
well, and then Mina was like, oh, but in her heart, she's like, oh man. I mean, if she's,
Yeah, even for Mina in her head, she's like, nah, she's
yeah,
not making it.
yeah,
But
she's not.
still put on a brave face and was like, I'm sure she's okay. Like, I'm sure, like, whatever. Like, because in that moment, telling him that she's probably dead is not conducive for anything.
Oh no, that break. They all have to believe that she's still
Got a
alive.
chance.
Yeah,
Well,
for
because they
like,
also technically all they know is that she got hit with that rubble potentially, or that she went down. They don't know that she got surrounded or swarmed by,
and is bleeding out.
yeah.
But then you
So
see, and it's also important that they keep morale because you see like Dabia talk about Gigantua's little quirk where he can convert his morale into physical. And I was like, okay,
right, he's like,
whatever.
you can convert your morale into like physical strength. You can convert this into that, and this into that, and this. I was like, so he's a fucking Nomu too, or does he
Pretty
just naturally have this many quirks? Like, wait, what the
one, two,
fuck?
three, four, five, six. He has seven quirks, but yeah, he's there charging and like the plans going in. Everyone's being used, which again, that's some stuff like I like from like the beginning of My Hero, like the earlier
Mm-hmm.
seasons where everyone has a
Pitches in.
part.
Uh huh.
So they're like going all this stuff. I'm like, let's go, Momo. Let's go.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and
then,
and okay, and then when it's like, okay, we get him down, we open his mouth, and then we throw the anesthetic in there. My feeling though is that one canister that she made, I was like, I was kind of iffy on that calculation. I'm like, y'all, he's huge. Like I know per his weight normally, his size normally that would work, but considering like what you're going up against, you should double the dose.
agreed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like you Midnight already said this is illegal. You double the fuck down if you give him an overdose. Oh fucking well. Like,
And yeah,
but
and
then
then
okay.
it's your
So
part.
my other little that really bothered me about this. Why would you not have people that have more accurate or quirks that are more conducive to like putting the anesthetic directly into his mouth? You have all of these students just chucking the canister, free floating in the air, no protection, no guidance, no nothing. I'm just like, guys, all at once too. So no, like,
Well, I would give
ugh,
them thing that they're working on they're working on limited knowledge and like high duress. Because let's be honest, all of the
that's
heroes that
true.
are fighting right now, like I just named before,
Mm-hmm.
there's not Midoriya, it's not
Nope.
Bakugo, it's not Shoto, it's
Well,
not
part of me was like thinking about, okay, little snake girl that can like do all her bits and pieces all over the place. Why the fuck did she just not have a hand with the canister fly and drop her right in his mouth?
well,
Why the fuck do we have a dude that's got tape coming out of his elbows, not like shoot the fucking canister with the tape? So if somebody like, blows the air, it's still attached to his motherfucking tape. Like,
well, I would
where was
say
the.
that the reason I was naming those people and yeah, Midoriya, Bakugo, Shoto, Uraraka, Froppy, those
Mm-hmm.
five. The reason I named those five and why it's so important is those five have the most combat experience
That's
against these
true.
villains. So their confidence level and like their access of the situation is better. These
That's
people
true.
haven't fought villains since like episode like the first season.
Right.
Like if you really go like season three, like you can count it like when they were after Bakugo, but besides
Mm-hmm.
that, they've not fought
That's true.
villains
I hadn't
since.
considered that. That's
That's why I
right.
was saying like all of those people, especially class 1B, this is their
Mm-hmm.
first time, and your first time fighting
That's
villains, it's
true. Oh
literally
my
life or death.
God.
So like that's why I was like, that's another reason why I think I took. Obviously, they're all busy, but they took those five out. But
Mm-hmm.
there's the one person who has experience. he shined and he was my MVP
Yeah, no,
of
for
this
sure he's the
episode.
MVP. But before we get there, again, on the letting people float without goddamn cover, with Poltergeist throwing Denki up in the air for Denki to do the charge bolt and all the villains, I got so fucking hyped. I was like, yes, Denki, yes. And then, of course, Mr. Compress comes with the rubble again, and he's just fucking smashed like a bug. Just like Midnight.
When they opened his mouth, and like he just basically hit him with freaking air attack. Yeah. And then like Dobby shot fire in it. I mean, I'm sorry, Andrew, but now you're really at your part. Mina comes through. At first, when she came through with that shield, and I was like, holy shit, her acid thing could block
flames.
Yeah. So then in my head, I'm like, damn, man, I wonder like if Shoujo doesn't use his
like in the preview for the next episode, like at the preview for episode 8 at the end of episode 7, we see kind of that shot, that fucking hero shot.
Mina.
And she fumbled the bag.
Well,
she fumbled the bag.
Before we get to the fumble part, when like in my thing watching it in real time, when she goes through that flame, I'm like, oh. And then in my head, I'm like, man, if Shoto doesn't use his eyesight, could Mina beat Shoto? Like that's what I was like thinking. I was like, if she could block Dobby's flames, I mean,
oh yeah.
That's pretty effing strong.
Yeah.
But then, yes, we get to the person who, I mean, I just talked about it a couple of minutes ago. Like, you have your thing, and Mina completely failed. Like, I was
Mount
unexpected.
Lady saw her. Mount Lady saw her coming and was like, motherfucker, open your mouth.
Yeah, we're going to win.
She's got this. She's got this. Mount Lady is staring at her. And Mina is in her flashback that we got. She acts and then feels. In this moment where we needed her to act, she felt.
Like the Avatar line, fumbled. when you needed her the most, she disappeared.
100%. Except that was she's unexpected. Not as cool as the Avatar. Okay, I'm mad at her. I'm so mad at her.
It was unexpected, and what is bad as a thing too, because like.
And it's the same. That's the thing. I'm actually kind of annoyed at myself that I didn't put that together. Because again, calling back to earlier where I was like, we're going to talk about this. Gigantomachia is the same villain that was talking to Mina's friends, asking for directions, and she ran in front of them, that Kirishima saw as well, but was too scared to act. She ran in front and gave him the directions. And I'm wondering, he's like, fuck. Was he already under All for One control already? Or was he still a normal human being at this point? And people were just scared of him because he's huge?
Or like because of the way he looked.
Right. So, and then for her, it wasn't even the sight of him. It was his voice. She hears the voice. And oh my God, like playing baseball, as soon as you see the highlight of her hand and the release, like where in proportion you can assume her, like it is. Nah.
It was bad. It was because again, I didn't expect her to
Mount Lady's
fail like that.
When she saw what happened, when she saw Mina basically fuck it up after having the brilliant moment of, having her acid, calls it Acid Man, I think, kind of like shield coming through. She's got this. Also, at that point, again, I'm wondering why so many people want to hang through the air. But then if you're going to decide to hang through the air, why would you not hang through the air until you're closer to his fucking mouth to have a closer shot? Because when you see the angle of how far she was from his actual face, it's like, that's a pretty decent throw still. So, yeah. And it hurt my soul. Because the other thing is right before the shot where you see her mess it up, they gave her another like overly detailed body shot. Basically,
at first I thought I was like, oh, they're doing
upper thighs, ass, waist, chest. Well,
I thought they were doing that because she was gonna die.
Me too.
I literally thought that was it.
And me too. Because I thought what was gonna happen, honestly, even when I saw the preview, I thought what was gonna happen was she was basically suiciding into his mouth and he was going to eat her.
No.
A la Attack on Titan. I thought that's what was going to happen.
But she gets saved, who one of my MVPs of this episode, because I did have Budman, because the Mudman dude from Class 1B, he's
Yep.
really good. I know we've talked about him, but he's really good.
He is
But
really good. He's very cool under pressure, and his quirk comes in fucking handy.
yeah, but the other one, the main one of this episode was, which was also my
Kirishima.
favorite moment, the return of the season 4 Hiroshima, aka
Red Riot.
Riot, because obviously season 4, that's why that's one of my favorite seasons, because you saw someone out of the main people get a shining moment in a fight, and he came through, and you knew the moment, because we haven't heard this song, the You Say Run song, like the main My Hero, like shit's going down music was playing when he was doing it, and I was like, season 4 Hiroshima is back, and he was clawing, and he made it, and he got the throw, and I'm like, they've redeemed my boy.
And again, this goes to your point about battle experience, because Kirishima is the only one that's there that really has much of any.
Oh, he was in the raid. He almost died.
True. Fucking true. So, like, seeing Mina lose that canister in midair, and I guess spoiler if you guys really want a spoiler alert at this point, for him to have the wherewithal to push her out of the way, but also grab her bungled canister in midair before he gets smashed by Gigantomachia's hand into the ground. And then he just comes clawing up Gigantomachia's arm, launches, and of course, the League is still on his back. Still on his back. So Toga's, again, she's fucking on it. So she sees Kirishima with a canister, pops a knife, canister's busted. My heart dropped. First seeing that, I'm like, oh my God, no. And then he's like, that was my canister. And I'm like, yeah, bro. Like, of course that was your canister. And then he whips out another one. I was like, oh.
Yeah, he did really well in this episode. It was great to see him. It was great to see him back in prominence. And he did also say the line, like, no one behind me is dying. Like, I'm not letting you hurt anyone. But I was like, Jesus, man, this dude is really like season 4 when he was fighting with Fat Gum, like back. And then I'm like, it's one of those things now, because it's like everyone besides Midoriya I know is going to be alive at the end of this. I know Midoriya is going to survive. Everyone else, question. Like, I guess my second one, Uraraka will survive because she's the love interest. Like, she's going to be alive until this is all said and done. But everyone else, question. So he gets, and then they hold him off or whatever. The other heroes start coming.
Okay, so look, Kirishima gets the anesthetic in him, and it doesn't seem to have any fucking effect, which goes back to my,
I think it's going to be delayed. I think it's going to be a delayed effect.
I really fucking hope so, because then what the fuck happens? Gigantomachia gets into this, like...
Gets into a super armored battle mode.
Right, and I'm sorry, but I don't know what it is, but I think it's the shield that came over his eyes, that he really looked like the tree, from Naruto, the husk, oh my God, what? Not the ghetto statue, but like his eyes are covered. Just, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong anime. I don't know.
Well, the ghetto statue did have his, like, Pain statue thing.
Was it?
Because Pain summoned the ghetto statue and his, like, one eye was closed. Because you're not talking about, like, the 10 tails, like when the ghetto becomes the 10 tails. But anyway, I know it's some big old thing, but I understand. He's big, he's scary, and they're all screwed, but all the other heroes are starting to come and
slowly, like when Momo's talking to, like, hey, he needs to move around, like, thank you, is it Mr. Majestic or whatever?
Yes, Majestic.
And
he says, I have a great eye for women.
They're all flying towards them, and I'm like, y'all are still so fucking far away. Like, don't be like, yeah, we got this, when you're still so fucking far away. Like,
yep. And he said, yeah, I have a great eye for women and all of that stuff. So we don't go super, super over out of time. But I would say that with Momo, I was happy that she was able to think of that plan. I know, like, obviously they didn't have limited information, so I do think she did well.
Yes,
absolutely. Just like, it would have been Mina, she messed it up, which I didn't expect that out of her. That was really out of character.
Right.
Hiroshima, it was great for him to be back in season 4 form. But then just quickly to the second half of this, episode, you obviously see the main fight still going. Endeavor, Midoriya, Bakugo, all of them are still fighting. And
fighting the fight, and we have Shigaraki pull out the bullets.
Well, before that, he had the speech. And
the speech
was a good speech.
It was.
And it was the same principle, even though the dude in the third movie didn't go all bad. But the dude with the little bird, he's like, well, no one comes and checks on, like, all right, like everyone's like, oh, a hero will come. But then if a no hero comes, like that type of philosophy, and I'm like, that's true, man.
Yeah.
Like that speech was really.
It really gave him a focus. And I think part of the reason that I think you and I both maybe disliked him, maybe more so me, that it just seemed like he was just having a tantrum. That he just like he. So then also for I know Shigaraki doesn't know, but some of the verbiage that he used during his speech, and then the shot going straight to Endeavor, I'm like, oh, the fucking tea. Oh,
yeah.
I don't want to say what it was just for, actual like spoiler prevention, but like,
yeah, I mean, basically strangers, heroes helping strangers more than they like do stuff with their families and all that stuff. And basically the premise of his speech. And then you see now, All Might's master, who obviously was trained by Gran Torino as well, when Gran Torino was like also, 6 feet 4 inches.
Yeah, and fucking Jack. But regardless, like when Gran Torino basically makes a comment about Nana, this is the result of our decision.
Mm-hmm. Well, before that, the decision. You got to go back. You got to go back first because we got to say what the decision was. So obviously, All Might's master, she leaves because she gets one for all. She goes trains with Gran Torino, and they're on superhero style on top of a building. And she's basically like, I changed the record books, all that jazz. I have no family now.
I have no son.
Yeah,
and like that son being Tenko Shigaraki's father, and that ties into his backstory and just like, yeah.
So that was then you see that because then obviously if you're as a kid, you're like, my grandma would rather go help strangers than help our own family. Like that's already bad. And then they're on top and like she's like, I have no son, yada yada. Before you get to the end, you just see them like staring in. You just like,
right.
Well, shit. And then to go to your thing, potentially like if Gran Torino was, what was her name again? Jesus. Let me pull it up.
Nana?
Nana, yeah. Who I've said for 10 million years, and I was the first one that she looks exactly like
Midoriya's mom.
Yeah, Nana. So that goes to
that she's leaning into him and crying, and when he references like our decision, like is he Shigaraki's grandpa? Gran Torino does have white hair.
I don't think so because that would have been revealed in season 3. Because All Might, because they would have said something. Because All Might had no idea that Shigaraki was his master's grandson.
Right.
Until All For One said it.
Right.
Which means also Gran Torino hid that from All Might. And that's why, and then when they were in the hospital, he's like, now you don't even look at him the same like as a villain because you want to try and because of your master stuff. So I don't think he's
right. And I think Gran Torino made that mistake as well during the fight, and that's why he got fucked up to the extent that he did.
Oh, I think he's dead. I actually think he's dead. And it's crazy because I should have thought of him when we did the preview of someone who can make Midoriya snap.
Yeah.
And I should have thought him up, but he was the trigger point because he's dead. He got stabbed in the chest. I think he's done. Like, he's not point blank range. Oh no, I think because that made Midoriya snap.
But that hasn't happened confirmed. Like we saw it happen, but we seen Midoriya actually like have a moment and literally make the comment about turn your anger into power when he's protecting Aizawa again. And back to my comment, Shigaraki's got the fucking bullets. He's got them in his fucking missing fingers.
He pulls those out and he talks about conviction and I mean, Midoriya's trying to stop him, which then he switches to 100% real quick to elbow Shigaraki in the head, and it doesn't do
Shigaraki bites his arm.
doesn't do anything. Doesn't
Bites
do
his forearm.
yeah, it
Bites it. Talk
doesn't
about
do a thing.
tenacious and fucking scrappy. But
No,
so in Midoriya trying to throw that punch, was trying to prevent that shot from going off, and it didn't work. And now that Midoriya's other arm is trapped, because my thought was like, again, Aizawa is hobbling along.
well,
He
he's
needs
gonna
two
die.
people to support. That bullet made contact.
Yep,
That bullet made contact. His quirk is gone.
yep.
His quirk is fucking gone. My
I,
thought process was, I don't know why Midoriya didn't basically just try to throw off the bullet instead of ending Shigaraki. Because, like, I'm sorry, but his Air Force One, like, little finger flick would have thrown the trajectory of that bullet off.
I think more, yeah, because he wasn't thinking. But I think more from a practical thing. I was like, what happened to like Locke just doing something?
I think because of the speed, they couldn't. I mean, it's like having like a normal bullet fired at you. Like, that's Rocklock does not have speed like that. Neither does Manual. Neither does Aizawa normally either. Like superhuman speed, nah.
Yeah,
So
so I mean, he's done. It's he's done. He's gonna die. It's like it's either because that was so unforeseen that Aizawa would actually get hit. So
mhm.
that's when I was just like, in theory, in 2 episodes in a row, Midnight's dead, Gran Torino's dead, Aizawa just lost his quirk.
Yep. And
And Aizawa's been literally escaping death. Each episode, someone has sacrificed themselves or saved him. And
yep.
now he lost his quirk, which means now Shigaraki can do decay, he can do all of his quirks, and that's how the episode
See, I
ends.
wonder if there's some sort of plot twist though, because one of the last scenes before the episode cuts off is the red of Aizawa's eyes, meaning that his quirk is, activated. And it just seems that it still seems to be on, even though he's been hit with that bullet. So I wonder if he's got some sort of protective something underneath his clothing that bullet didn't actually inject into him.
Or they just did it
I
for cliffhanger purposes.
probably, but I don't see how they can continue fighting Shigaraki without literally everyone dying if all his quirks come back. Like
Oh,
I
it's gonna be Midoriya. Like something again, like I said it, like something again is about to unlock that somehow makes him immune to anything that has all for one reek to it, so that he's the only one who could fight him. Because you
my
see
thing
in the
my thing is
preview,
he gets Nana's quirk. It has to. That has to be the next quirk that he gets is that he starts to float.
it has to, but because you see in the previews, Midoriya's the only one fighting Shigaraki in the air, which that's why I'm implying like it's something that only he can fight him now, which that's how it I mean it
I
ends.
mean, that's the destiny of it.
Yeah, so just before like so Andrew, what do they do? Like in closing, what do these heroes do? Next 4 episodes will be getting close to Christmas, and again, I think I know 100 I know Midnight is dead. I think 90% Gran Torino is dead or he's on death's door.
Yeah.
Eraser lost the most important quirk
In this
in
war
in
at
this
this point
war.
on the hero side.
I would say overall, because he
Mm,
can change the tide of a battle, but
that's true.
so what and you still have the high end Nomus stopping.
That's what I was about to say. Basically, the only thing I can really think of is that they need to do something about those fucking nomus, but those fucking nomus have serious regenerative properties, which Eraser needed to fucking turn off.
And they're smart. And I mean, even in the clips, you finally like the preview, you see like Shoto showing up, which no offense, I know he's your guy, but I'm like, what the hell are you about to do now? Like you
When Endeavor saw Bakugo and Midori and he's like, "Where's Shoto?" I'm like, "Sir." Like,
yeah. But
bruh.
I'm just like, what are you? I'm no disrespect, man, but I'm like, this ain't the right time for you, which
No.
means I could see like,
No, but he needs to be there for, I mean, he's gonna need to come into the fold for what we
yeah,
know
for
is
when,
coming.
yeah. So, but it's just like right now, this isn't really the best time.
No.
So I just don't know what they do. Like it's sad how in 4 episodes and the heroes, everything Hawks worked for, gone. They're at a
Yeah.
huge disadvantage. They have no trick plays left
No.
or anything. They have no one strong. All their strongest people in the country are all out here. There's no one left.
Right.
And I would also say too, like just thinking about season 4, I mean, if you would have had someone like Night Eye here, that would have been a big help from a strategic and quirk standpoint, but he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I mean, if they would have had Lemillion, he would have made a fantastic thing because I honestly think he could like do his stuff through decay,
I think so too. I think so too.
but he's gone.
Right. Well, his
So
quirk is gone.
his quirk is gone.
But
Obviously, he's a
but
fantastic fighter,
okay.
but he can't
Okay.
fight this
Like,
right now.
but we didn't see the million with Aerie, which normally in like a, in the civilian shots, we should have seen Lemillion either with Aerie or somewhere himself, and we didn't. So that makes me wonder where he's at and what he's up to.
Could be up to something, or it could just be like another artist thing. Like we just want to show you that All Might's here, still in the show. But like, or he could have, Lemillion could have been in that room, but they just wanted to focus on All Might and
Right.
Aerie. But it's just one of those things like where they have no strong people left. So, and the next episode, even though it's going to be Midori, it's going to be Bakugo's resolve. So
Yes.
obviously, I do think he is going to think about our guy Blue Genius, and then he's going to be like,
Yep.
and then
Is
he's
this
going to
where
get
we
a
get
power.
to know his hero name? I wonder if it is.
Or is this where we know that Hawks pulled a whoop de doo and gave him a fake Blue Genius body, and then the real one pops up, and then he's like, "You're finally here. I can do my hero name and all this stuff." Because you see some stuff with him and All Might, but it's called Bakugo's Resolve. Comes out the next episode. But yeah, the heroes, it's bad news. It's bad news. Andrea, anything else?
It's been fucking wild, guys. Like I don't know how they're
Yes.
gonna turn it around, but obviously this is My Hero Academia. This is the story of how Midoriya became the best hero in the world. So like,
Well, I did say he sacrificed. I said it's going to be different, but
but that means that at least the heroes win. Is that really a happy ending?
I was
No.
about to say at
But
what cost?
well, for him, sacrificing himself is something that he would feel proud of. I do know that. But my point is with that sort of intro, we at least know that even if the Meta Liberation army comes out on top, at least momentarily, they're not going to be in power for long. But my money is more so on that they don't win this war. I don't think they do. I don't see how they don't win it because I'm just not that imaginative, unfortunately. But
Well, even if they don't win it, we know the key players are still going to be alive, which is a problem. So does that really mean they won? Because that means they're as long as their supreme commander Shigaraki's still alive, which he's going to survive. Because spoiler, guys, we know. I mean, this is not the end of My Hero. There's arcs after this, and
right.
we know Shigaraki is the be all end all, him and all for one. So we know they're going to survive, which means
Oh,
some of
he
the League
is.
of
I
Villains.
didn't. I okay.
No, I'm just saying from
Truth
a
be
thing.
told, I did not know that. I figured that part of the arcs coming later is just kind of governmental, kind of more internal,
Nah,
like structural stuff.
he's the be all, and like they've kept this dude alive. He's gonna be the last fight. Like this is gonna be some Final Valley Naruto Sasuke nonsense. Like this is how it's all gonna
Yeah,
end
but
up.
unfortunately, we don't have Talk No Jutsu to.
Oh no, these one of them's gonna die, if not
Yep.
both.
Yep.
Or but he's the be all end all. All for one's still alive. There's still a whole bunch of loose ends. Stain's still around. Like
Yes. Oh, I can't wait for
there's
Stain to come back in. Like as much as he's a villain, like I mean, his philosophy isn't terribly off. Like
and then obviously, like you said, like there's a whole bunch of stuff this show's left, like the reveals that are coming and Obviously, the betrayal, the traitor will eventually
Yes.
show.
Oh my gosh. I keep forgetting that we lose sight of the traitor. Like,
Mhm.
when is that going to come out? Is it going to be after the war? Is
Could
it
be the
during
finals.
the war?
Could be the final season, but there's a lot to be played. So that's why I'm saying, like, who are we going to decide wins or loses when some of these main players are still going to be alive?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, again, Shigaraki just go somewhere else to recreate or get a whole new army. If the Doctor's still alive, then I will consider that, even if the heroes win, I consider that a villain win. Because the Doctor's alive, you have all that knowledge. He'll break out. He'll just make him.
Also, what jail are they going to put him in? The
Massive.
same fucking one that All For One is in?
There's no jail. They got to put him in a coffin.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They won't.
Again, I don't know why President Mike just didn't leave his ass to get decayed. Like, talk about karma.
Well, I mean, hindsight's 2020. We know now Shigaraki could control it. He just wouldn't decayed him.
That's true. That's true.
And then that would have been worse, because then he would have left him with Shigaraki. Then he would have been behind Shigaraki being protected.
That's true. That's true. So, forgive me, President Mike. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's hindsight.
But he's still fucking running his mouth. Like,
yeah, he's talking. He's talking. Well, Michael Jordan said it best. It's really easy to talk shit when you're winning. And the Doctor's like, we're winning now, so I could really talk shit. So it's crazy.
Yo, I'm not ready for this roller coaster. Like, I know I'm already not halfway through it, obviously.
Someone else is dying by Christmas. I'm pretty sure.
I just hope they don't die on Christmas Eve. Like, that's all I hope for. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know if I can handle that on Christmas Eve.
That is a Saturday. But
it is a Saturday.
Anything else?
Thanks for listening to us. This has been a bit of an extended episode. Again, I was a little too heated this episode, so apologies on the language, but we appreciate you listening to us and recognizing our opinions and our thoughts and taking the time to just support us. And we would love to hear from y'all. Any critiques, any thoughts, any maybe tweaked opinions of ours. We would love the interaction.
I have nothing more to add to that except just like, rate, comment, subscribe. This is the L7C podcast signing out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.